Welcome to the Trader a Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew. I'm a writer working in unscripted TV development, and this podcast is dedicated mostly to English-speaking versions of the TV phenomenon, The Traitors. However, we also veer into other strategy reality competitions like Genius Game and Million Dollar Secret, and most recently we have been covering The Traitors Ireland. This is a bonus episode as requested by listeners. We are doing a preview of the celebrities appearing on the very first series of The Traitors UK Celebrity Edition, soon to air on BBC here in the UK. Helping me do that, someone you will absolutely recognize from the podcast. He has helped me cover episodes of Traitors India and Ireland and UK and US and probably Canada and New Zealand and other versions that I can't even remember. It's MaJiKer! MaJiKer, welcome back.
Hello, hello, hello. I don't even need to put on a weird accent because this is the UK one. We're back in British waters. Here we are.
We're back. We're back. It's very exciting. We've got an awful lot to talk about. How are you feeling about this celebrity version of our favorite show?
Okay, so dear listeners who are not based in the UK, I met up with a friend today and I said, "Oh, are you excited about Celebrity Traitors?" She said, "Oh, I thought the cast list wasn't very good. There weren't many celebrities on it." I said, "Excuse me, friend, I think you've looked at the wrong list. This is the most stacked celebrity list of any celebrity show we have ever had in the UK, and I'm not exaggerating there. Considering there's what, nearly 20, is it 19 players?
Yeah.
Um, we have like honestly, it is like it's like you're in the boxing ring and you just get one punch and then another one. Then you get Stephen Fry. Then you get Claire Balding. It's like if you're not in the UK, you might not understand quite how utterly stacked this lineup is. There are
Yeah.
no housewives of, Dunfermline in here. We're not doing the housewives of like Aberystwyth.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point to make because people listening from other countries who've maybe watched US Traitors might be expecting, oh, it's a celebrity version of Traitors, so it's gonna be Big Brother stars and Survivor people and and there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. That's fine. This is real stars of various different worlds coming together for this show. It's a really impressive cast, and it just speaks to the success of the show. It's so popular, people love it. I am not surprised that a lot of these big names were like, "Yeah, I'll do the Celebrity Traitors." And it might be worth mentioning here. Actually, we've talked on the podcast before about the US Celebrity Traitors. Those reality stars are getting paid apparently, like $150,000 to appear on that show. From what we hear, the celebrities taking part in the UK Celebrity Traitors are being paid £40,000. That seems to be their fee. I am quoting the Rest is Entertainment podcast. That's what they have claimed on there. And I think that's what you had heard as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and very unusually, it sounds like it was a flat fee. I can understand why they've done that. Because actually, although many of us would like £40,000 to be on what will probably be the biggest new show of the year. I mean, the biggest season of anything of the year. That's not astronomical amount of money. Um, and I suppose what you need to know with that money as well is that it's first of all it's the BBC and the BBC doesn't pay as well. It's not a commercial broadcaster, it's a public service broadcaster. It's funded by the license fee mainly, although they do have a commercial arm. And so they have to be very prudent with what they pay people. And but this idea of the flat fee across, we are going from people who are probably some of the most famous people in the UK. You can guess who I'm talking about. We'll get there. To people who there's a couple who neither you nor I have ever heard of, and the idea that they're getting the same fee is pretty revolutionary. That doesn't normally happen.
Yeah, it's also worth mentioning that what might make this season different compared to even Traitors India was essentially a celebrity show. They were not. sort of regular people who are not known. They were all people in the public eye. Most of them were actors or social media creators, or people involved in the film industry and so on. The UK version will be the winners or winner will not be winning a big cash prize for themselves. They will be playing for charity. That seems to be the way of. I think it's like it's just sort of a cultural difference that celebrity versions of shows in the UK, that's just the norm. It's you're playing for the charity of your choice, and whatever the prize fund is, it goes off to charity. Hooray!
Mm.
Uh, US traders does not work like that. They are winning money for their own pocket.
Well,
Maybe they give some to charity. I don't know.
to be fair, that is their job, and that's the real nuance, isn't it? Their job of m most, I would say, I don't know what, 70, 80% of all the players, their job is being on TV and trying to
Yeah,
keep getting booked to be on TV. If you're on Housewives, the whole goal is to try and get booked for the next season. And the same with, Survivors and Big Brother. You want to get booked again. You want to be in the Champion of Champions or whatever. So
yeah,
that
that's
is
true.
their goal. And then and also a lot of the people on the American ones, they're doing okay for themselves. A lot of them are not that wealthy, actually. I wouldn't imagine. Also, they have to
Yeah,
pay tax, which is
yeah,
always gets
yes.
me there because in the UK you don't have to pay tax on winnings.
Yeah, that's very true. So, again, we've talked about on the podcast in the past, the prize fund for US tracers, it actually ends up being less than what they're being paid just to be on the show in the first place,
Mm.
which may explain some of the way that the games have played out in one or more versions of that show.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of US, there's a really funny thing that is happening with Celebrity Traitors UK in terms of timing. So whilst we are all getting excited about this new season of the show, a week or so ago, it was announced that US Traitors is doing the opposite of us. They have announced they're going to do a normie version and they're going to do a new version of the Traitors over there at a different time in the year, I guess, where anyone can apply and it's not going to be celebrities. So it's just really funny. Of course, it's maybe worth mentioning their first season was this mixed cast of half celebrities, half non-celebrities. So now they're yeah, we're doing the opposite of one another. We're going celebrity, they're going regular people who are not celebrities. So funny
Yeah.
timing on that one.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with the games because it's a co-production between Peacock, NBC, and the BBC, and they share like nearly all their games, don't they? So that will be interesting to see. There must be
Yeah.
some kind of storage facility up in Scotland where they're just like putting all the games. And do you know if these seasons were filmed back to back by any chance?
Uh, this which seasons are
Well,
this?
I suspect what they'd like to do if they can get their schedules right, because normally the normal American one, which is with the reality stars, and the normal UK one, which is with normal people,
Yeah,
civilians, are filmed just back to back, literally over 4 weeks, isn't it? Like two
yeah,
weeks for
yeah.
one, 2 weeks for the other, which explains all the games are set up and all of that. So do we know when, if this one was filmed back to back with the American civilian one?
Uh, no, I mean American Civilian one hasn't been filmed, of
Oh,
course.
okay. Okay.
They're only just casting for that right now. Uh, UK Celebrity Traitors was also filmed not even on the back of season three of UK and US most recent. It was there was a bit of a break,
Yeah.
and then all the crew went back up.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's right. I know a couple of people
Mhm.
who worked on it, so there was a wee gap between
Yeah.
filming for those. So this Celebrity Traitors was sort of slotted in at a slightly different time.
Yeah, it was just going to be interesting to see with the games whether they do just put them in cold storage and then pull them out again, or if they've got
Yeah.
different games. Obviously, for
Yes.
us who watch both, it would be nice if some of the games were a bit different, but let's
Yeah.
see.
Yes. So what we're going to do today is really just run through the list, talk about who these people are, why are they famous, do we know them, do we not know them, maybe give our thoughts on what they might be good at on the show. Would anyone make a good traitor? Would anyone make a terrible traitor? And again, for people outside of the UK, some listeners have asked us to do this because they're not really familiar with any of them or most of them. One final thing before we start running through our list of celebs is it's interesting when this show was when it was announced that we're going to do a celebrity version of UK traitors. A lot of the conversations I was hearing were about why this might be bad for celebrities. A lot of people saying they surely if you were famous you wouldn't want to go on this show. It brings out the worst in people. This could be really bad for people's reputation. I don't know what you think about that. That wasn't my first reaction. I do understand
Mm.
that question, that line of thought. But I don't think anyone is going to ruin their career on the back of this. I think it's going to be a great season. I hope it's exciting, intense, and shocking things
Mm.
happen. I don't think it's going to get incredibly personal and people are going to be vile to each other. Is it something that you thought about?
No, no, I don't think so. And then the only concern is, are they going to keep that professional celebrity, sheen over everything? It
Hmm.
just ends up becoming a little bit too. I mean, I like what I loved on the Traitors India was that although they were celebrities, they really got stuck into the game like properly. I think these people are smart enough that most of them that they will be like, we've got to play this properly. And actually, you have a conversation when you go on any show, you have a conversation with the producer of what they're looking for and what they want. So if the producers are saying, look, it really is much better if you play the game, individually, if you know each other, please don't, use that too much and don't talk about too many things that have happened on the outside, like, oh, I went to your birthday party and stuff because it becomes a bit chummy chummy. I'm
Yeah.
sure they've been given a briefing. In order to make a good TV show, let's be clear, although there's celebrities playing a game, they're also making a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah. You used a great phrase there, celebrity sheen, and actually it reminded me that just last week was the Edinburgh TV Festival. It's a really, really big deal in the world of UK TV, even beyond UK TV. People come from abroad to it. Uh, and at the Edinburgh TV Festival, lots of people in the industry all go and meet up. It's very expensive to buy a ticket, which is why I've never been. But lots of production companies send off their creative directors and heads of development, and there's all sorts of talks going on and presentations and previews and trailers of new shows that are coming. And there was a session on this new celebrity show. So a lot of people in the industry got a little sneak peek at, at some of the first episode and got some information about, they were hyping it up, of course. They were being told by Studio Lambert and the BBC that it's great, you're gonna love it, it's gonna smash the ratings. Wait, just you wait. I don't want to get in trouble by saying too much. I have heard from someone that a comparison was made to someone from either Studio Lambert or BBC, I don't know, said, no, it, you will see a lot of revealing things. They really took the game seriously, and you may see some scenes that take us back to the golden days of Celebrity Big Brother when Vanessa Feltz was writing on a chalkboard and
Matthew,
losing her mind a bit.
if you're trying to tell me that David Olusoga is dead, then
David is dead. So
David is dead. Not that David.
not
Um,
that David.
if you
Not
know, you know. And apologies for
yes.
listeners internationally. Although to be honest, this clip has gone so viral. If it hasn't made its way across the Atlantic and around the world, then
Yes.
yeah. Just look up David's dead and dine off it for the next 20 years.
Yes. And actually, Matthew, that's an excellent segue into what I was going to talk about next. I keep saying before we, and then I talk for 5 minutes. We are just about to get to the list of celebrities. Before the real official list was put out there, probably because they couldn't really keep it a secret, there were all sorts of rumors we were seeing online. People who have actually uh, not ended up being on the show. And one of them was the GC herself, Gemma Collins. People are saying she's in it. She's not in it.
Mm.
I heard Tiffany New York Pollard is going to be in it. She's not in it. I also heard for a long time there were newspaper reports about Andy Murray and his mum Judy. They were going to be the mother-son pairing on this celebrity season. I didn't really ever believe that was going to happen, and it hasn't happened. I could kind of see Judy on it. I cannot see Andy Murray agreeing to go on the show.
I can't.
Um,
Yeah, good. I can't stand Judy Murray. Sorry.
the
I know. I'm insulting one of
whole of
your
Scotland
the whole
quakes. Take it back.
quakes. I did not like her on Strictly Come Dancing, Dancing with the Stars for our international listeners. She was not giving it enough effort. And I know she's not a natural dancer. I feel like I'm going off on a
No.
tangent. Anyway, please take the reins.
Were there any, besides Judy Burry, who you love, were there any other names you had heard rumored and then it
Yeah.
didn't end up being, they're not on the list?
Yeah, so very, very widely rumored was Daisy May Cooper, who is a very, very funny
Mm,
actress, and possibly with her brother. And the rumors
yes.
are that they might have been pulled out at the last minute and replaced by possibly the ones who are going to come across as actually the least famous or well known, because on these kind of shows, you always need like reserves. You need people who can just be shipped in last minute replacements. Just on Strictly Come Dancing this year, someone
Yeah.
on Doctor's advice had to pull out, having been announced. So before the shows have even started, someone from a soap opera is like, "Oh, sorry, about you, but now I get to be the 15th celebrity." So you need people, you work in TV, you need people on that reserve
Yes.
list.
Yeah. And actually, that is true. My insider info tells me Daisy May Cooper and her brother Charlie were going to be in the cast, and they did. They dropped out at the last minute. I think it was really sort of a genuine like scheduling conflict. They had other commitments and just too busy, and it just wasn't going to work out. And I think they were gutted to not do it. Maybe they'll do it next season. But yeah, they were supposed to be doing it, so they had to get someone else filling in. So now that we've talked about who's not on the show, let's talk about who is on the show. We'll go through them one by one, starting with someone I am so glad is on this. I'm a big fan. It's Alan Carr, national treasure. Alan Carr. He's started in stand up. He still does stand up actually. I don't know why I'm saying that, but he presents. I listen to his podcast, Life's a Beach. He does his show with Amanda Holden, Travel, Renovation, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. I wanted to resist it, and actually, I have fallen in love with it. A lot of he had a talk show called Chatty Man on Channel 4 years ago. I don't know why Chatty Man sort of ended, actually. It seemed like it was so popular. It
Yeah.
had huge A-list names would come on it, kind of like a Channel 4, like a competitor for Graham Norton, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah, and towards the end they were getting similar, Ariana Grande, like they're really, really big stars. Yeah.
Yeah, but and the clips of that often still make the rounds on social media. Are you a fan of Alan?
Yes, I mean you have to have a heart of stone not to be a fan of Alan. He is a national treasure by, we're going to bandy that word around a little bit today, I suspect, but he's definite definition of it. So I just wanted to say, like, I haven't done any extra research on any of these people at all. So I'm just going on. If you stopped me in the street and said, I am an alien, I've landed from a place called America, and I need to know who are these people, then I would say, oh, off the top of my head, without Googling it or looking it up, this is what I think. So that's just what I'm going on here. And I've also, just for fun, typed into a certain AI. Could you please rank all of the people who are appearing on Celebrity Traitors first season in the UK according to how famous they are and give them a score out of 100 for how famous they are? So I've got that here. It is not definitive. It's hasn't no human has really done it. It's AI that's done it, but I just thought it would be a bit of fun. So just to give you an indication, on my AI score, Alan Carr is 88 out of 100.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
I
he's
think that
definitely.
that feels about right to me.
Mhm. Yeah, from this list, he's one of the big names that I think most people in the UK.
Mm.
I'd be shocked if someone didn't know who Alan Carr was. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're coming up against something that I have no concept of yet because I'm not sure we haven't had loads of comedians on. I can think of a couple on some international versions, but the American one, often they're quite humorless people, really, aren't they? They're very serious competitors. But Alan Carr is he's just got funny bones. Like everything
Yeah,
about him is funny. And we've got quite a few comedians and actually people who are not comedians, but are known for being very, 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 very funny. That is the unknown quantity in this show. We don't know how that's going to play out because
yeah,
Alan Carr, you just think he's going to be hilarious, but Traitors actually isn't about being hilarious. I hope he is going to be funny, but it's about playing a game, which is actually in itself not that funny.
yeah. And if you go back and listen to a previous episode on the podcast, Matthew and I took part in the Traitors Live experience in London. We played the game for real. We talked a little bit about how it met our expectations and how actually it can be really quite nerve-wracking when you don't expect it to be. And actually, things can get a little tense and serious, even though it's just a game and it's people you don't know and you're never going to see again. But yeah, I can imagine. expecting Alan to be just hilarious all the time and really lighthearted, but actually, I'm intrigued to see as how serious are they going to take it? Yeah, yeah. What's it going to be like? Uh, so Alan he's up there. And it's funny because when I talk about the show to people, he's one of the ones that most people mention straight away. They say, "Oh, Alan Carr's doing it, isn't he?" And so many people have said to me, "Oh, they'll never make him a traitor. Oh, he'll never be able to be a traitor. No one could ever take him seriously or believe him." It's such a funny take. Like I don't know. I wouldn't underestimate him. Maybe actually that could be a little secret strength that just nobody suspects him, and
Yeah.
actually maybe he'd be a great traitor. Who knows?
I think that might be because, as I say, I can't think of anyone that's actually really a hilarious person who has been a traitor. Maybe like, oh, I don't want to give any spoilers, but certain, drag queens or whatever on the American version. But again, that's not what they're more known for, like shade and cutting satire, not like, and even in the show, like that particular traitor was not hilarious. It was more
Hmm.
aggressive than anything else. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um, yeah, I mean, I am having cognitive dissonance trying to imagine someone that funny in the turret, but that's why this one is so fascinating. Why the cast is so fascinating, and the interplay between them is going to be like really, really interesting.
yeah. Are you forgetting Linda from Traitors UK being
I
a,
mean,
a,
I I
an
have I have
undeliberate comedic
y-
genius?
yes, I have book tickets to her stand-up tour, which is called "Oh no, someone has been murdered."
Who the hell is going to come back next?
Who the
Uh,
hell? Oh, who the hell?
get over it. If you know, you know. From Alan, we move on to kind of, for me, the opposite end of the spectrum. This is Cat Burns, who apparently is a singer. I'm over the age of 40 and I don't know who Cat Burns is. I have a little tiny one sentence bio here saying that Cat rose to fame with her TikTok viral track Go, charting at number 2 in the UK and earning a Brit nomination. I really don't know anything else about Cat Burns other than that. Do you?
Yes, vaguely. So I have a name drop that's coming up later, which is like
Ooh,
it's a bit tenuous, but this is not it. But I'm one step removed from Cat Burns because I believe she went to the Brit School, which is a real hotbed of talent, South London.
Adele,
List Adele. I mean, like you just Amy
Winehouse.
Winehouse. Like you just the list is endless. So a singer that I've done a lot of work with, was really good friends with Cat. I think might have even been in the same year, or at least they were there at the same time from Brit School. And so I'd heard about her before she really exploded. My friend was saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's a girl called Cat Burns. She's doing well for herself." And then next thing I know, it's lockdown and it goes viral. She's performed at the Brits, she was nominated. I don't know if she won. Um, I'm yet to see whether she's more than a one-hit wonder. Sorry to say that. I
Mm,
mean, I think she has support on social media, but she had that one song that I've already forgotten is Get Out Your Things and Go, isn't it? Just it's called Go, I can't remember. Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
and that was a big hit. I don't think she's replicated that in terms of commercial success, but I suspect she has her fan base. But yeah, AI gives her a score of 45, which
Okay,
I would say,
it's
no
generous.
offense, is a little generous. If you were to say out of 100, if you go on the street and say, what about Cat Burns? Obviously, if you're younger and if you're on social media a lot, it might be 45. Most people, it would be around about
Yeah, yeah.
10, 10 or 15. She's not famous, but she has done a few of the big things. As I say, performing at the Brits, she had a slot on Graham Norton. So, she's done a few things.
Yeah, and I get it from a sort of casting, producing, BBC commissioning point of view. They do want to encourage younger viewers. I mean, Traitors is huge anyway. It's going to get
Mm.
millions of views, but it makes sense for them to go a bit younger skewing with some of the cast. So I get why she's in there. Next is a favorite of mine. I'm very happy about this. This is Celia Emery, who is a really beloved actress. I guess then maybe she could be described as a national treasure.
Yeah.
And I reckon that even if you are in maybe Canada, the States, and you're thinking Celia Emery, that name doesn't mean anything to me, I bet you'll recognize her. I think she's been in so many TV shows and films. Actually, you just might recognize her face. Funnily enough, so she's been in thing, you know. one of the weird connections for me with Celia Imrie is Dinner Ladies, the Victoria Wood sitcom from the 90s, which I just love dearly. She was hilarious in that. But she's been Exotic Marigold Hotel. She was probably in that. That's I guess Nanny McPhee, Bridget Jones. She actually I just watched a film last week. She was in. It's called Good Grief. It's a Netflix film with Dan Levy, the guy from Schitt's Creek. And she plays like a solicitor. So she appeared on screen, and I was like, "Oh, it's Celia Imrie." So I think you also might love Celia Imrie.
Yeah, I love her from stuff. I haven't seen her a lot because I don't watch a lot of movies, but she's done a lot of TV as well. Yeah, and she's just a familiar face. I was you took the words out of my mouth. If you think, oh no, I don't know who that is, but you go, oh, it's her. There's actually a couple of actresses who look a bit similar, but she's one of them. And of actresses of a certain age. And is she in the new Thursday Murder Club movie? The
Oh yes, I think she may well be.
So
That would
right now in
make
London, her
sense.
face is all over everywhere because Netflix is really pushing that over the London buses and billboards on the tube. So, to say, oh, I don't know who she is, it's like, well, open your eyes. She's literally everywhere.
Funnily enough, someone else on this list is in that film too. So, and there's
Ah,
and of course that's a funny connection to the idea of murder and detectives and all that. So, um, nice sort of connection there.
yeah.
Next up, as someone again, it's sort of someone who I feel like everybody knows in Britain, even though she's sort of not really in the mainstream public eye anymore. And actually, I think a lot of Americans of a certain age will know who this is too.
Yeah.
It's Charlotte Church,
Mm.
who is mainly known for being a singer. Charlotte Church was like a child star. She started out singing classical music. She had this sort of I don't know if operatic's the right word, because Matthew, you can tell me what the best way to describe her is.
Yeah, like a classical voice. Yeah.
Yeah,
And she came
she's
funnily, she came to notoriety, and again, spoilers, because working her way through her list, she came to her big breakthrough was singing on a TV show of someone who's actually on this list.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah. There will be so many little connections between the cast.
Yeah.
And Charlotte w was huge as a sort of a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14, singing these beautiful songs. And made it huge in America as well. I remember she sang at the White House for the Clintons and sold millions of albums, and then became it was sort of the Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears treatment of a teenage girl in the public eye. Was sort of treated terribly, I think, actually, and was involved in phone hacking scandals and had her personal life plastered all over tabloids. She sort of veered into pop music and actually still I think does do pop music again. Not doesn't really have commercial success anymore, but I think she does still sing, and does various other things that still I see her on This Morning sometimes, and I see her on social media. But big name, very recognizable from Wales, representing. Uh, Matthew, you work in music. Do you have any musical connections to Charlotte?
Yes, I do. So this is my name drop. Um,
Ooh,
a few years ago, I worked on this incredibly random project. I say worked on, it was a day, but it was a day in the BBC studios. It was for Radio 4 for Women's Hour. And it was a very silly song called Save Our Trolls. And the idea was, oh, trolls are just sad and lonely, so we need to be kind to them. And there was Miranda Hart. There were all these people who were like singing little contributions. And the whole idea was just befriend a troll and then we'll be okay. It was meant to be about, particularly around women being insulted. And the
mm,
lead singer on it was Charlotte Church. So she did pop in and say hello. So I met her. I was just there like directing a choir that actually I'd never met before, but they don't, for some reason, there was no one conducting them and they were out of time. They were like, oh, can anyone do it? I was like, I'll do it. So I just ended up conducting this choir. Anyway, and yeah, but also she's worked a lot with a group that I think no longer exists, which is a really, really cool group called Gaggle, who are these kind of punk female and non-binary choir, like absolute a cappella punk madness, dressed in like ritualistic neon outfits. They were crazy. I've performed with them. They've sung on one of my albums, and Gaggle have done a lot with Charlotte Church. So just to say, Charlotte Church has moved into a very alternative space where she releases these EPs. There was a documentary about her doing like a homecoming gig, but it was very, very, very experimental. That's what she likes to do now. And when you talk about her being on daytime TV, it's because she's interested in sound baths and healing and all of that. And there's a famous clip that went viral of her trying to do this and somebody not being able to stifle their giggles. Alison Hammond, you know who you
Yes.
are. But all I would say is that, I've never had a conversation with her, but I know from the girl who did Gaggle, Charlotte Church is one of the good ones. She is down to earth, incredibly open-minded, very artistic, and I think she is really deeply a very good person.
Yeah.
That's my judgment. And I cannot believe she's agreed to do this show, to be honest.
Yeah.
AI gives her a score of 85, which I think is about right.
Okay.
Obviously, if you're like under 25, you might be like, oh, never heard of her. It's like, yeah, because she's been quiet and she's been off the radar, raising her kids, doing her own thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But look into it. She's absolutely massive.
Yeah. And really clever and very articulate. I've seen clips of her on podcasts and interviews recently, and really, yeah, really impressive. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm a fan. I also did have her pop album when I was probably in my early 20s.
That's because
Um,
you are just one crazy chick.
Crazy Chick is the Girls Aloud single that never was. It's a bop. I will not go back on that. I think the album was it called Tissues and Issues?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds right. All I'm hoping for, Matthew, is the dark and moody version of Crazy Chick when someone gets Spanish.
Oh,
Dom dom,
yes.
you're driving me to insanity.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. And if it doesn't happen, you need to make that song.
I'll
You need
make
to
it
record
happen.
it.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a- another national treasure. It's Claire Balding. Claire Balding is a sports commentator, broadcaster, presenter, and does all sorts of other things. But she's mostly connected to the world of sport.
Yeah.
She presents at the Olympics, Wimbledon, um, any big sporting event on TV. You're probably going to see Claire Balding there. I was at Wimbledon, not this year, but last year, and spotted Claire Balding in her little area and was very excited and took a picture from a distance. Um, she does a Celebrity Gogglebox as well with her wife. She's fab. I love Claire. What do
Mhm.
you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big sports fan, but she's an absolute fixture. I think she's what we would call a horsey woman.
Yeah,
She's,
yeah,
really, really knowledgeable about the horses. I feel like that's how she came up, actually. And
I
then
think
people were
so.
like, could you do some other sports? Because you are incredibly articulate and confident and warm and just lovely, lovely, lovely person. AI gives her a score of 83, which I think is fair.
Yeah, yeah. And also, Um, I don't know if this is here or there. Throughout the cast, we have a nice sort of LGBTQ representation. So yeah, it seems like nice diverse range in the cast in various ways.
Mhm.
Next is someone that you mentioned earlier. It's David Olusoga, who is I don't know him that well. I recognize him. Um, I know he's a historian who does lots of stuff on TV, sort of as a talking head, and probably presents things as well.
Mm.
I saw him in person a couple of months ago in a train station and went, "Oh, that's that guy that's going to be in Celebrity Traitors," as he walked by me. Do you? I don't know loads about him. Do you know more than I do?
No, and I'm going to say the AI score of 70 is a little bit generous. I think that
Hmm.
might be because he's had a lot of articles published in The Guardian, and so
Okay.
where ChatGPT is saying, how famous is this person? Oh, he's written loads of articles. I'm like, yeah, but if you don't read The Guardian, you might never have heard of him. A friend of mine I can't remember what it was. It might have been a book prize or it was some event or something, and or some kind of training scheme. And she said, "Oh, it's David Olusoga who's doing it." And I was like, "Nope, not getting." She said, "No, of course you know who it is. He's the writer, historian." And I was like, I might know him if I saw him, but No, 70 is I would possibly flip that around and give him like a 7 out of 100. Very respected, let's be clear, very respected, but not very famous.
Yeah, yeah, especially outside of the UK, I would guess most people won't know who he is, and even in the UK, again, I, when I first realized who it was, I saw a picture of him and said, "Oh yes, I recognize him." I
Mm.
didn't know his name, and but yeah, academic, I'm guessing is going to have a good sort of handle on the game, and might be quite sort of cerebral about it all, but
Mm.
I don't know him that well.
I just again choosing my words carefully. I hope people take the game seriously, but don't take themselves too seriously. I'm just gonna leave that. Just gonna leave that there.
Okay, yeah, yes, agreed. Next is, I have to say, another one of the handful of names that I really didn't know and still don't know who it is. This is a someone from the world of sport. Joe Marler. He is a former England rugby player and podcaster, apparently. Three-time Six Nations champion, and yes, does other stuff beyond rugby now. Uh, I've looked at a picture of him. He's very distinctive looking, but I he doesn't really register with me.
Oh, I actually do, and I am, trust me, no fan of rugby. They tried to, they made me play rugby week in week out in the school that I went to, having never taught us the rules. So I literally, for 7 years, was just running around. Well, not doing much running, standing on a on a pitch. Is it called a pitch? I want to say a rugby pitch.
Yeah,
Let's call
yeah,
it a
rugby
pitch.
pitch.
And with, I think it's called a rugby ball, although it's not shaped like a ball. Anyway, this is as much
Yes.
as I know about rugby. However, I do know him a lot because he's been on all of the panel shows. He's been on 8 out of 10 Cats, which is a very beloved 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown, which is too complicated to explain here. If you're in the UK, you get it. If you're international, you'll be like, what is the concept? It's like, never mind. Layers of concept. Let's leave it. Anyway, he's on those kind of shows, the funny panel shows. I'm trying to think what else I would have known him from, but he's a very familiar face to me.
Okay.
And he's got a very distinctive voice. He's got this kind of funny, slightly high voice because he's a rugby player, so he's like really kind of big guy, but he's got a funny little face and kind of he speaks, oh, I kind of speak like that a lot of the time. And then, but sometimes I think he's got a very kind of like RP accent. So like, speaks like this, like a kind of posh, but then he often goes into this kind of voice. Like he's a real character. And so he's been like a breakout star from rugby. He's probably the only rugby player that I could name.
Oh,
Um,
okay, okay.
yeah, and he's I understand why he's been booked. He is extremely funny. Like he's for me, I think he's a
Ah,
comedian rather than anything else.
okay, interesting. Right. I now I'm having a whole other reason to look forward to the show, which is just to match up his actual voice with your impression of his voice. So
It,
I
it,
can't wait.
yeah, yeah, it's a whole vibe. Anyway, AI gives him a score of 65, which again I think is very generous. In
Yeah,
terms of his
yeah,
actual fame. Again, it's like rugby's a bit like football. If you know, you know, you know.
yeah,
If you never watch rugby, and rugby is not that big in the UK, I'm sorry, it's just not. It's certainly nowhere near as big as football.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that's. But I think he's going to be a great member of the cast, but he's not that famous.
Okay, yes. Next up is someone I am more familiar with. This is Joe Wilkinson. Joe is a comedian, really known for a lot of podcasting. He was on the Amazon Prime season, the show Last One Laughing, which I started and haven't finished, but really want to finish because it was great. He acts in Afterlife as he plays the postman, if anyone watches the Ricky Gervais sitcom on Netflix.
Mhm.
He does Taskmaster, he does all sorts of things. He kind of has a bit of a Traitors connection already, actually. He co-hosts a really popular podcast called Chatterbix, and one of his, I think just his mates who's on the show a lot is, oh my goodness, is Paul, I was going to forget his name, is Paul, who was a traitor on UK season two. So Paul was kind of known a little bit on social media already because he had been on the Chatterbix podcast a lot. So I'm sure Joe will be or will have had advice and tips
Mm.
from Paul Gorton, I think is his second name. How familiar are you with Joe Wilkinson?
Oh, very familiar. He's a very familiar name if you watch any comedy in the UK. And the funny thing to know, like for international listeners and viewers, is that comedy in the UK is really on these panel shows, and you don't really have that. We have a little bit of stand up on TV, but mainly it's quiz shows and these panel shows and stuff. And so you do the rounds and you kind of become a familiar face for that reason. Um, but yeah, he was really like a breakout star on this show. 8 out of 10 Cats does countdown. Um, he is extremely funny on
Yeah.
I don't want to give any spoilers if you haven't watched a last one laughing, but at one point they have these wild cards when you come out and you have to just do something to make the others laugh because the whole idea is you're not meant to laugh. And he just does this presentation about the RNLI, like the Royal National Lifeboat Institute, is it? And it's not
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
funny, but these people who are just so funny
So
that when they're saying
deadpan and
it's just like he's taking it very seriously, and you're like crying with laughter. Like it's just so funny. Interestingly, him and the Joe Marler, they're going to be the Joes, and actually they have very similar energy. Obviously, Joe Marler's not a
mm.
professional comedian, but they look similar. Just one is a much bigger and rounder, the others thinner. They both got similar facial hair, similar kind of glint in the eyes. So that'll be interesting. I reckon there'll be a moment when they'll do a funny thing with, oh, you're Joe, oh, I'm Joe, okay, you're bigger, I'm smaller, you know. They could have a bit of banter between them. But again, it's going to
Yeah.
be interesting to see how funny they want to make this show. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That will be a lot
Yeah.
about the edit because these people will be funny. Then the editors will decide how much of that is shown.
Yeah. Joe is one of those for me who I can't quite picture him really playing the game very
Yeah.
seriously. He just always seems to be on.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated if we're really going to get a bit of a glimpse of him breaking that character.
Yes, and it is a character, isn't it, really? I mean, I hope it is because he's very his character is this kind of like clumsy, awkward man who always says the wrong thing. It's really difficult to explain, but when you watch it, you'll see. AI gives him a score of 60. Again, a little bit generous in terms of how famous he is. One of those things where if you watch comedy in the UK, you will definitely have seen him and probably enjoyed him.
Yeah, and that score also just so does not compare to some of those other ones. He who you told us have got much higher
Yeah.
numbers than that. Some
Mm,
AI do better.
yes.
This is why we still need humans.
Hmm.
Joe Wilkinson lives in Brighton, where my partner lives, and I spend a lot of time down there. I'll be there tomorrow. So my partner spotted him out and about a few times. I'm hoping I will get a glimpse of Joe one day, maybe even a little selfie for the podcast. We'll see. Next up is someone I kind of do have a bit of a connection with. Here's my kind of name drop. We've got Jonathan Ross. I'm guessing is going to have a super high score on your AI score sheet. TV a comedian who, again, I reckon started out in stand up, but doesn't really do that anymore. He is known as a presenter, a host, a panelist. He has the Jonathan Ross show. He's sort of late night in inverted commas show on ITV with big A-list stars who come on. Um, he my connection to him is that I used to work on The Masked Singer. And Jonathan UK. Jonathan Ross has been a panelist on that since the beginning, so I spent many an hour in that studio watching Jonathan in between takes. Loves a vape, loves a snack, loves a can of cola. So when you're watching Masked Singer, just know that tucked away under that desk are lots of little treats for Jonathan.
Hmm.
It's like seems like a nice guy. Everyone got on with him. It was actually quite quiet.
Yeah.
My impression was always quite unassuming, almost weirdly between
Mm.
just sort of did his own thing, wandered around between takes. Seems quite pleasant. Got the audience would have little chats with him in between filming.
Mhm.
Yeah. What do you think of Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, again, interestingly, I would say he's one of the most famous people in the UK. I would say not a national treasure for a couple of reasons. So
Okay.
AI gives him a score of 90, which I think is fair. You can't have watched TV. And again, I'm talking of people over 25. You can't have watched TV at all and not and say, Jonathan, who? Like, I mean, he's extremely famous. And his chat show, he's had a version of his chat show since the 80s. So it's been like he's been
Mm.
like doing that for like 40 years. He was originally, I think he might have started on ITV or Channel 4, wasn't it? And then it was BBC for ages. He had the slot that Graham Norton now has, the kind of Friday night slot. So yeah, and he's done other shows. He did the Celebrity Apprentice and didn't take it very seriously. And actually, that is again this whole question of how seriously the celebrities are going to take the traitors. That would be an interesting one because he's all
Mm.
about the banter and all of that. Um, so why would I say he's not a national treasure? He has been involved in a few controversies. There was
Yes.
one controversy in particular, and I think we're going to keep the mood nice and light and just skirt on by it. It was called
Yeah.
Saxgate, if you know what it
Yeah.
is. It
Yeah.
involved someone else who has also subsequently been somewhat disgraced. So yeah, just Google it if you want to look up Jonathan Ross controversies. I'm sure there's a bit on his Wikipedia page. I've gone very hot and cold on him. When all of that was happening, there was an element of like cruelty, and there was something like in our family, we just didn't like him. We thought he was just really spiteful. But that was more the mood back then in the kind of early noughties, like through to end of the noughties. It was a very spiteful time. People were kind of just trying to provoke each other, get a reaction, be a bit mean. He has really mellowed, and I particularly on The Masked Singer, I find him very funny and warmer. A lot of these people, people like Jeremy Clarkson, you end up mellowing out a little bit because you realize, okay, the shtick is getting a bit old now. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think he is the person that he put himself across as. I think he got a little bit. He had a book out called, I think, Why Do I Say These Things or something like that, and it was this kind of autobiography, like a mea culpa, saying, "Oops, I keep saying the wrong thing."
Yeah. And what I've discovered over the past couple of years that I hadn't really appreciated, because I also never didn't really care that much about Jonathan Ross. So I don't really have an opinion on him, other than that thing that happened. I've discovered he's kind of, and I use this word in a very nice, loving way. Some people would say I am this. He's kind of like a geek. He's quite nerdy.
Yeah,
He's obsessed with comic books,
yeah,
and movies and cartoons. And he has this huge collection of toys and games. He loves comic book characters, and he's quite well known for having like a Halloween party every year in the UK that's like really serious. Like he properly dresses up, and celebrities come and they have to wear like a proper costume. Which I think is why he does The Masked Singer and loves it.
mm,
He also his wife is famous in her own right as well. Jane Goldman, screenwriter, worked in the movie industry for years. They've done Celebrity Gogglebox as well together. So I actually think Jonathan Ross will take this more seriously than Celebrity Apprentice because of his sort of, like I say, geekiness and his love of maybe gothic-y,
yeah,
comic booky, exaggerated world. I actually think he will really love the castle and
yeah.
enjoy the immersive gameplay of it.
Mm.
That's my guess. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
I think you might be right. And I mean, The Apprentice, particularly the celebrity version, was very silly, very, very silly. So actually, I'm not saying the traitors can't be silly, but I think, yeah. And again, I think they would have had a conversation with all of them and just said, look, this is what we're looking for. If we don't get it, we haven't got a show. So,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I think he speaks good Japanese as well from all the anime that
Oh,
he's which is interesting.
interesting.
Mm.
And also, Celebrity Apprentice, by the way, on the way back, in the coming months. I think you should watch it, Matthew. I have no vested interest. Maybe I just think you should tune in. Uh,
I think it's rubbish. And the thing is with that show is I just wish that everybody who works on it would just get a proper job. Like honestly,
yeah, yeah.
hopeless.
What are they doing? Uh,
Remind me what you do for work, Matthew. Just
let's move on to our next celebrity. Actually, another person with a Masked Singer connection. This is Kate Garraway, who is she's been a presenter, a broadcaster for years. She probably started in journalism, I'm guessing. Um, yeah, she was on the most recent series of Masked Singer when I was working on it. I This is not a spoiler, it's aired. I was there for her unmasking, and I hadn't guessed it was her. And like that is the absolute truth that almost no one working on Masked Singer knows. I never knew who the celebrities were. And last season I was at that studio almost every day. It is anyway. So I was very surprised it was her. But she does Good Morning Britain. She's been on Strictly. She's done I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. So it's not. I guess not that surprising that she would do another celebrity reality show.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about Kate that's sort of obvious that,
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's like I don't want to kind of focus on it too much, but she really came through COVID, and I don't want to get too emotional talking about this because it's like it was a rough time for everybody.
yeah, yeah.
But and I won't talk too much about her personal life, but basically her husband got very, very poorly with COVID, was one of the
Yes.
first, and very publicly she was very brave. She did a series of documentaries about his condition. He was extremely badly affected. I think he's now passed away.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
years of struggling, he couldn't speak and all of that. And she the only reason I'm speaking about it is that this is not tabloid gossip. As I say, she was doing a series of documentaries to try and get support both for people who had been affected by COVID and were still trying to live with it or were bereaved by it and all of that. So she has been incredibly brave, very public in her suffering, and we've all, as a nation, no matter what you felt, I never felt particularly strongly towards her. She's, just presents daytime morning breakfast TV, which I don't watch. She always seemed like a pleasant person. But of course, you're like your heart goes out to her and the family and all of that. So I think this is part of her putting herself back into the world and new things. As you can see, she always takes on new challenges and all of that. Um, but yeah, it's so that is going to come with her. That will be, I don't know if they'll talk about it, but pretty much everyone in the UK knows her husband was called Derek. It was a big part of kind of British culture during COVID.
Yeah, yeah, really sad. And he was really known as well
Yeah.
in the world of TV, sort of behind the scenes, I think. So I imagine a lot of people, the other celebrities on this, will have known her husband as well, and I'm sure it'll come up. Maybe they won't show it, maybe, but I'm sure they'll talk about it. But yes, I like Kate. Think
Yeah.
she comes across as this warm and genuine.
Yeah, she's got a score of 80, which feels a bit generous, but actually,
Mm,
because of what I've just shared, she is a household name. So, yeah, not,
yes.
yeah. Not maybe not national treasure. Um, Again, maybe that might be the journalistic angle. There's something a little bit kind of professional about her. But she seems like a very pleasant person.
Yes, and her Masked Singer character was Spagball. Uh, and I think she had a great time doing it. Next up is another comedian, and this is someone who I've kind of, like maybe only in the past 3 years, I've sort of become familiar with her and realized who she is. It's Lucy Beaumont,
Hmm.
um, and this is really terrible. Actually, I'm sort of ashamed of this. I think we first saw her again on Celebrity Gogglebox with her then husband,
Mm.
whose name I'm forgetting.
Hang
His
on, hang
second
on,
name
hang
is
on.
Rich. It's Richardson. Is it Kevin?
It's
Mark?
the John Richardson.
John? Thank you. I knew it was like a
Yeah.
simple. Okay,
Yeah.
John Richardson. They were married. He's a comedian as well. So I knew him. And terribly, I thought that she was on that because that was his wife. I didn't realize she was a comedian as well in her own right. Of course, now I've seen her on various other panel shows, Taskmaster and so on. And she's really funny. Seems very down to earth. I may or may not have a sort of work connection with her that I can't talk about. It's not Masked Singer. She's not in the next season Masked Singer. I don't work on that anymore. But yeah, seems lovely. Has a very quirky mum, who she's been on TV a couple of times with. So yeah, she seems like great fun. I'm looking forward to seeing her. What's your thoughts on Lucy?
I'm just trying to look up exactly where she comes from because she has an extremely distinctive accent, doesn't
Yeah,
she?
yeah,
Is
yeah.
it Lancashire? No, no. It's really, really. I've got to
Like
get.
Yorkshire, maybe?
No,
Is
no.
it?
It's
Or is
like
it?
Is it Hull? But she's got there's just something about her accent which is like, oh, yeah, it's Hull. It's Hull. No,
Okay.
I don't know. Like, but it's very, very pronounced. Like, we're
Yeah,
used to hearing people from Yorkshire, but she has like an extremely pronounced accent.
yeah,
And likewise, I'm afraid to say she came to prominence because she was John Richardson's wife. They've sadly now split up. But she's, on my little AI thing, it gives a very generous score. I think I've got this up here. Gave her a 50. That's very generous out of 100. But it
Mm,
does
okay.
also say growing recognition, but more niche. I think, yes, AI. So I wouldn't give her 50 out of 100. I give her maybe 20.
Yeah.
But this is one of those bookings where you think it could be really good for her because she is funny. She's
Yeah.
very charming, very endearing. So
Yeah.
actually, to be on a show like that, if she keeps in for a while, I think it could give her a real boost, deservedly.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Next on our list is someone who I didn't recognize the name of, but recognized them when I saw them. And shame on me because this is a Scottish actor. This is Mark Bonnar, who I just sort of feel like I recognize from lots of crime dramas, or sort of quite gritty serious dramas. Maybe he does comedy as well, and I don't know that.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't have lots to say about. I watched Line of Duty, which Mark Bonnar was in. And yeah, just one of those faces. I thought, oh, it's that guy. I've seen him. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, and in films as well, here and there. Are you? Do you know Mark Bonnar? Not personally. Are you familiar with Mark Bonnar? Maybe
Yeah,
you do know him personally.
he's in my kitchen actually. Mark, can you just turn the peas off? They're going to be overcooked. Yeah,
He's in the turret.
he's in the turret. Yeah, don't cook peas in the turret, Mark. Um, no, exactly the same as you. A face, very familiar face. If you watch drama in the UK, you will have seen him in something, but very difficult to pinpoint it. Although I am now starting to think a lot of these people have been in Miranda. There's a sitcom by the comedian Miranda Hart, just called
Yeah.
Miranda. And I think about like 4 or 5 of these people have actually been in that. Am I making it up that Mark Bonner's been it, or am I mixing? I think I'm mixing him up with Mark Heap. I'm mixing him up with Mark Heap,
Oh,
who is another one of those guys who you're like, I don't know that, and then you see him, you're like, that guy.
mm,
Okay. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm afraid he is bottom of the AI list. He's on what pretty
Oh,
generous score of 45. Um,
oh.
yeah, but yeah, a bit of an unknown quantity. We'll have to see what he brings.
Okay. He's not bottom of the list for me out of these
No.
names in terms of fame, but yeah, I understand that maybe most people aren't going to know that name, but may recognize him. The next name is actually sort of similar for me. I recognize this person and I've seen them in lots of clips here and there. It's Nick Mohammed. He's an actor, he's a comedian. I don't watch Ted Lasso, and I know that he's in Ted Lasso. So I think actually this is one who maybe a lot of people in the US and Canada and elsewhere will recognize. I'm not that familiar with him. I think he also did a sitcom with David Schwimmer that was on Sky, and I can't remember the name of it. I remember him promoting it on Graham Norton. Yeah, it's sort of quite quirky, almost camp. It might be fair to describe him
Yeah,
as.
yeah.
He did a little bit at the BAFTAs presenting something that was sort
Mhm.
of hit and miss. Any thoughts on Nick?
Yeah, so I'm just realizing now we probably should have also cross-referenced this matrix with those who have appeared on Taskmaster, because I happen to know that a lot of international listeners, particularly American listeners who are interested in British culture, will have watched and enjoyed Taskmaster, and plenty of people on this list have been, or almost certainly will be, on Taskmaster, and he was on it dressed as a vampire. Um, and I also recognize Nick Mohammed from just one episode of Miranda. That's what came to mind, where
Oh, of course.
he is the one at the parachute place where you go to do like a skydive,
Yes.
and she says. She's like saying, he says, so could you be pregnant? And she goes, oh, well, I could be. And well, if you are pregnant and you can't do the dive, no, I'm not pregnant. Well, how do you know you're not pregnant? I'm definitely not pregnant. How do you know you're pregnant? I haven't had sex in 3 years. And then it goes on later. The sketch continues. And then he says, don't mind her. She hasn't had sex in 3 years. It is so
Uh,
funny.
I forgot that was him. Of
Yeah,
course, of
he's
course.
so brilliant. And I think he has an alter ego called Mr. Swallow, who I've read good reviews for, but actually, well, mixed reviews. But when I've seen him on stuff as Mr. Swallow, I don't find it that funny. So,
Mm.
um, but and this is not a spoiler. I have heard from someone who might be working on this very season that he was good. That's it. I don't know how well he did in the show, but that he might be a breakout star and that actually
Mm.
um I don't know it was him because literally my friend, this is like fourth hand information, said there is a young British Asian star on it who is an absolute breakout star and who's just brilliant. So
Okay.
I don't think he's going to go unnoticed. I think he will make an impact.
Okay, exciting. Looking forward to it. And speaking of Miranda, we're going in alphabetical order by first name here, which means we've passed M, which means that Miranda Hart is not appearing on Celebrity Traitors. I love Miranda. I am reading her most recent book right now, actually. Went to see her do a Q&A in it. I would love to see Miranda on Celebrity Traitors. I would just love to see Miranda on TV doing anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
She's just not been very well, has she?
no, no. Maybe next season
Yeah.
they'll get Miranda. Would love to see her on it. Next up is another person who I don't know the name of, but I recognize them when I see them. And sort of coincidentally, the past week or so at work, I work in developing new ideas for unscripted shows. Is someone that has been cropping up just in my research for various things. It's Nico Omalana, who is a YouTube sort of personality, a content creator, but has also become well known because he's like stood for like the London mayoral election, and he stood at the last general election, kind of as like a joke thing. I think it wasn't that serious. Uh, I all I know is yeah, he does stuff on YouTube like sort of pranks. I don't really know that much else about him. I don't know
Mm.
if you are familiar.
No, absolutely not. I'll keep this brief. Never heard of him, never seen the name, never recognized. It's just not my thing. It's just not for me. Just to say, Nick Mohammed had a 58, which was very
Oh,
generous.
sorry. Yes. Okay.
No, that's my bad.
Yeah,
I
that's quite
forgot.
generous. Yeah.
That's very generous. But hopefully by the end of it, if it goes well, maybe he will and deserve his 58. And this Nico it gets 55, which again, it's like it's famous if you watch his stuff on YouTube, but
Mm,
YouTube is so niche. It's so I mean, I know it's the most popular platform for people to watch stuff, but only the stuff you're interested in, the
yeah.
algorithm
Yeah.
isn't going to feed it you otherwise. But
Yeah.
and it's true. I mean, a lot of the people we're saying are national treasures and incredibly famous. They've been doing it for 40 or 50 years. So, you know, there's something
Yeah.
about this kind of monoculture, isn't there, that we're also kind of siloed and, niche interests. So, yeah, some young people might be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you booked Nico. And I have literally never, ever heard of him, ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's a football fan and does these sort of like either soccer aid or like charity football things as well. So maybe football fans kind of recognize him from that. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Next up is someone who I think is going to have a much higher score. I'm immediately familiar with this singer. This is Paloma Faith, singer-songwriter, and actually actress as well. I've seen her in a couple of things and been shocked and went, "Hey, that's Paloma Faith." Um, Paloma Faith has the same birthday as me. Fun fact. I have a weird feeling we might be the exact same age. I don't know what year she was born in, but she was a voice coach on the TV show The Voice. Yeah, I I was going to say something controversial, but I'll wait until I hear what you think about Paloma Faith, Matthew.
Okay, well, Paloma Faith is my ex-girlfriend. Uh, Please don't insult her in any way. No, I don't have strong opinions about her really. So she gets a 78, which I think is probably fair. Again, maybe a little bit generous, but she's a really interesting one because she's a singer who everyone knows she can sing. Um, her voice is kind of Marmite in that you either get on board with it or you don't. I think she personally as a musician, I find that she's very pitchy a lot of the time, and sometimes it's a little bit grating when she sings live. But she has character, she has personality. I would say she's more known for her personality now. She has a podcast as well,
Hmm.
um, than she is for her music. Uh, I think you'd be hard pressed to go on the street and ask someone to sing a Paloma Faith song and they would be able to sing one. She doesn't really have hits.
Oh, the one song that comes to mind immediately is "Only Love Can Hurt Like
Yeah,
This."
I think that's Diane Warren, isn't it?
Oh, it's a cover. Okay, right.
No,
Oh no, oh no, Diane Warren wrote
Diane
it.
Warren
Right,
wrote it
right. Sorry.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think don't quote me on
Okay.
that. I
I
think.
can sort of hear that. And I think you could probably play me a few more songs and go, oh yeah, I know that. Oh yeah, I know that. But yes, I couldn't sing them off the top of my head. And I think Only Love Can Hurt Like This was used in like an advert, and that's why I sort of hear it all the time. my hot take is, I'm glad you've spoken. I really don't like her voice. I can't
Mm.
listen to it. I do find it grating and just not enjoyable. I'll be kind. It's
Yeah.
not for me. Uh, but yeah, she's very quirky and sort of um, characterful.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yes, and she also
Uh,
has a very, for international viewers, she has a very intense accent as well. It's one that we're very familiar with, but some people across the
yeah,
pond might
yeah,
struggle to keep up with her because it's kind of, I guess it's London, it's kind of Cockney kind of accent.
yeah. Uh, Next one is someone who, yeah, sort of bottom of the list for me in terms of recognizability is an actor called Ruth Codd. I don't know who this is. I looked them up and I don't even recognize this person. Irish actress who gained their breakout status through Netflix's The Midnight Club. I actually don't know what that is. And The Fall of the House of Usher. I do know what that is, but I haven't watched it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I sort of Ruth doesn't really mean much to me. Don't know about you, Matthew.
No, exactly the same. And to the extent where I literally wondered if it was a typo. And because I was like, I don't mind if it's someone I haven't heard of, but then when I Google them, I want it to kind of say, oh, well, they've done these things. Oh, they were in Game of Thrones and I haven't seen Game of Thrones. They were in, Slow Horses. I haven't seen Slow Horses. Okay, but they were in shows, a lot of the shows I've never even heard of. I know there's a lot of TV these days, but we can't watch everything.
Yeah,
So she is definitely not earning her AI score of 48 out of 100. I
no
think
way.
that might be a ChatGPT. I'm going to just improve you. I'm going to make that a 0.44 out of 100. I'm so sorry, Ruth. I'm sure you're a wonderful person. You know you are absolutely not famous. Maybe this will go well for you and you might be able to move up the scale a little bit, but
Yeah,
this was an emergency last minute booking. Sorry. And I hope you spend your 40,000
yeah.
pounds well, because yeah, good for you.
I had the exact same thought. This is screaming last minute replacement. And that's not shade. She's, I'm sure, very talented. She's just not that famous. But maybe she will be after this, and maybe we'll fall in love with her. Maybe she's got some amazing personality, and we're going to think she's great.
Yeah.
By the way, I checked because I multitask sometimes, and Paloma Faith does not have the exact same birthday as me. She's 3 years older than me. Haha. So I feel youthful and rejuvenated as we reach the last few names in our list. Next, we've mentioned him already. This is got to be like the biggie, I think. It's Stephen Fry, who does he have your top AI score
Well, I
of
should
fame?
blinking well hope so. Yes, he gets 95, which I'm going to say is
Okay.
ungenerous. If it needs to be 98, if not literally 100. You go on the street and speak to anyone who has spent more than a few years in this country, and Stephen Fry is the most famous person on TV. I mean, like by which I mean he's just been doing it for so long in
Yeah.
so many different. I mean, what hasn't he done? Author, prolific author, and very, very, very well selling. He's done a whole series of books about Greek mythology that have been massive bestsellers internationally. But we forget that because he just does everything else. He's,
Hmm.
hosted the show QI for many years and just so Fry and Laurie and Jeeves and Wooster. I mean, I'm not going to start listing it, Blackadder, because we're just going to be here all day. It's Stephen
Yeah.
Fry, for heaven's sake.
Yeah. Host, actor, sketch comedian, comedy actor, national treasure, radio. He does well, voiced all of the Harry Potter books first time around. He has been in he was in the Hobbit trilogy. Not that that's the thing that you would know Stephen Fry from. I'm just trying to think in terms of maybe
Mm.
people in other countries who don't know who he is. If you've seen the Hobbit films, he's in those. They're huge. That's what I'm thinking of. He played Oscar Wilde in a film back in the 90s with a young, very handsome Jude Law.
I think,
Theatre,
was he in Spice World? I think he might have been in Spice World.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
The pinnacle of his career, I would say.
I'm
Uh,
willing to put a bet that not most of these celebrities were not in Spice World, the movie. So, we could have used that as a criteria as well.
Yes, and actually, I've made a sort of my synaptical connection via Spice World that Jennifer Saunders is not on my list, but she was heavily rumored
Mm,
as a cast member. Although I
yeah.
do have something to say about that. So I'm kind of surprised. Uh,
Mm,
Jennifer Saunders just I connect to the Spice Girls in my mind because of Comic Relief.
yeah.
So yeah, Stephen Fry, huge, famous, recognizable academic, known for being very, very knowledgeable and wise and
Mm.
knows all sorts of information, and I am sure will take the game seriously. Maybe too seriously. Maybe
Mm.
he will get a bit carried away by it all. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, look, the whole question going into this, I think if you had to say, if you were to survey everyone who's a fan of the Traitors, what's your number one question? I think most people's number one question would be, so, is Stephen Fry going to be a traitor, or is he not going to be a traitor? Because then you get into this like 4D chess thing of like, well, obviously he's a traitor, but then obviously he can't be a traitor because too obvious to... And I think I haven't seen anything. This is not a spoiler, but surely that has to be the hot topic of conversation. And if I
Yeah,
were there, I'm sorry to say, I would literally, well, I would either say, let's just banish him because he's a distraction, because he's too, it's Stephen Fry, he's too much. Or if you're putting your producer's hat on, you say, we better keep him in because it's Stephen Fry and he's going to get the ratings.
yeah, yeah. That's a great
Sorry,
point.
Ruth Cod, but
Yeah, Ruth. Yeah, that's a. I had not even thought about this, but yeah, as a producer, you know the traitors are probably going to last longer. Maybe you want to keep those bigger names around by making. Yeah, and I wonder
we,
if the players will realize
yeah,
that and think about it.
we do
I
not want a Pamela Anderson situation.
a Pamela. What's a Pamela Anderson situation?
You don't remember? You're meant to work in TV, Matthew. She was booked at great expense to be on Dancing on Ice, which is the ice skating version of Dancing with the
Oh,
Stars. Promptly got voted off in the first week, and ITV
yeah,
lost their investment of probably about £1 million
yeah,
to get her on.
yeah. Unbelievable. And of course,
And
Dancing on Ice has now been shelved. Retired,
yes,
I think is the phrase.
and my favorite anecdote, which I am borrowing from, I think, again, the Rest is Entertainment podcast, was apparently when she was doing this, filming in, some suburb of wherever it's shot in some airfield, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes. It's
The
shot. It's filmed in the same place they filmed The Masked Singer.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Apparently she wanted to take some of the crew or the cast or whatever out. She said, "Guys, I found a beautiful little French bistro." And when they got there, it was Café Rouge,
Cafe Rouge. I knew it.
which
Oh,
for
Pamela.
international listeners is a very straightforward fake French chain. It's
Yeah.
like
It's like Olive
Starbucks,
Garden.
exactly, for like French food. Oh dear, Pamela
Yeah.
Anderson.
Oh, Pamela.
Maybe season
Uh,
two. Don't be burnt by Pamela. She'd be
no, no,
amazing
no.
being on season two.
Yes. And yeah, I'm a big Pamela fan. I'm a fanula.
Hmm.
Um, so we've got Stephen Fry. Yes. I was thinking about the same thing. Are they going to make him a traitor? On the other hand, I thought, well, because he's very clever, is he going to make a great traitor hunter? Is he actually ideal for? Is everyone going to follow his lead? But then, does that make him a perfect candidate for? We'll see. We'll see. Who knows? It could go anyway.
The one thing I would say is, I'm as big a fan as anyone of Stephen Fry. Um, he does talk a lot, and
Hmm.
by that, what I mean is when I've heard him on podcasts, I like, oh, Stephen Fry, I love Stephen Fry. He, oh, I'm sorry, Stephen, if you're listening. I'm sure you're not. He always says the same anecdotes in exactly the same way every time, again and again. He's a storyteller, but he will say the same thing. And I noticed he was on Alan Carr's podcast, and they said, we just had fun in the Scottish castle, but we're not allowed to say any more than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Alan hardly got a word in edgeways the whole time because Stephen was just telling the stories I've heard him tell on every other interview and podcast forever. And he'll have to be very careful because actually talking too much does not hold you in good stead in this game.
Yes. That's a good point. We're down to our final two. Penultimately, we have someone I'm very excited about, but I think most people won't know. It's Tamika Empson. She's a comedian, she's an actress, most famous right now for being on EastEnders, and she's been, which is a long-running British soap. Um, she's been on it for years now, actually. She did Strictly Come Dancing, which I hadn't realized. She must have been on it. I watched Strictly, but I didn't always watch it, so I think she was on before I joined
No,
the
no,
party.
I think it was fairly recent, but she was first out.
Oh, okay, okay. I know her for a different reason, but are you familiar with Tamika?
Just from that, from Strictly, and thinking that she was gone too soon on Strictly because she seemed really lovely. I think she might have popped up on Loose Women, which is our version of The View. Is that what Americans
Mm,
call
yeah,
it?
yeah.
And yeah, and EastEnders. It's funny again. It's like if you know, you know. If you watch EastEnders, she's really famous. If you don't, you might never have seen her before.
Yeah, and I don't watch EastEnders actually anymore. Again, my partner does, so I see lots of little clips of it. And but even beyond that, just on social media, sometimes she's very funny and delivers lines hilariously. So they give her some of the comic lines in EastEnders. So occasionally she has a little social media moment of doing something funny in EastEnders. I know her from a show she was on years ago. It was this sort of hidden camera prank show called Three Non-Blondes, which I think was on Channel 4. I am so old that I have it on DVD. There were two or three seasons of this hidden camera show. It was Tamika and two other female comedians, and they would film in different cities around Britain. And just, yeah, they played characters. It was kind of like half sketch show, half improv or half prank show. They just played pranks in shops and on busy streets, and got people to believe that they were these mad characters doing crazy things. And I was obsessed with that show. It was so mad. It's so of its time. I th that it just wouldn't. You just don't see that kind of thing on TV now, really. But yeah, she was on that. I loved her. I just always thought she was so funny. Oh, and she was on. She was in. I've forgotten it. She's been in a couple of films actually back in the 90s as well, and British comedies. Um, I think she was in a film called Beautiful Thing, which was a sort of like British gay teen
Oh,
movie.
was
I'm sure
that
she's in that.
her? Oh my goodness, was
Um,
that her?
if it's not, and that's really embarrassing, I'll cut it out. But I think that was her.
Okay.
So I knew her from way back, and then when she appeared in EastEnders, I was like, "Oh, it's that woman from To Meet Three Non-Blondes. She's on
Mm.
EastEnders now. That's so funny." And yeah, she hilarious. I think she's going to be good fun, and I just can't wait to watch her. What's her AI
Yeah.
fame score?
She's 52, which again actually is probably fair because when you've been on a soap like EastEnders for long enough, I do think you get a certain amount, you know. She's also like I don't know, just also you've done Strictly. It's a shame she wasn't in Strictly for a little bit longer. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good booking. I think it's a really good booking because I think she's fun, smart. She's like a kind of light. She's a bit a source of light. So we'll see. Because
Yeah,
some of these people are the problem with stars when they're very famous is they often come with a kind of weight, don't they? There's a kind of heaviness to it. I'm not saying they're heavy people, but big personalities and all of that. So to have someone who's just hopefully going to bring a bit of joy and a bit of
yeah.
playfulness and I think that's really important.
Yes. And again, I have multitasked and checked. She was in Beautiful Thing in 1986. So
Wow.
this like gay coming of age,
Yeah.
which were at that time very rare. So yes, people might recognize her from that because it's sort of become a bit of a cult film that
Yeah.
now. Uh, we're at our final name. We have someone we don't we've mostly got actors and comedians. We had the rugby player, but we've got another sports person who is famous for many other reasons now. It's Tom Daly,
Hmm.
Olympic diver. He but does TV hosting. He kind of hosted-ish his this show called Splash
Mm.
years ago, which was like a celebrity diving competition. I actually never watched it. I just know that he was the coach, he was the celeb coach on it. Um, and he's famous for various reasons. He has a famous husband, Dustin Lance Black, screenwriter, Hollywood screenwriter, movie producer. Um, he was famous from a young age. He was like a sort of this young diving prodigy. So he was kind of famous from, like, I don't know, 13, 14 years
Mm.
old. Um, he's also going to be hosting a new competition show in the UK called A Game of Wool. in my opinion, worst title ever. It's basically sewing bee for knitting. It's a knitting competition, and he's famous also because he loves to knit. And oh, that's quirky, and oh, that's so funny. Tom Daly loves knitting, isn't he great? So he's going to be hosting a knitting competition show. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say about him. Very handsome, very good looking young man. Uh, did a stint on Masked Singer as a guest panelist last season. Anything I'm missing out about Tom Daly, we need to know.
No, I think you've covered it there. And like Charlotte Church, he's a child star for very different reasons. And he's been very public. Obviously, he came out very publicly. And his kind of, partner, might have been a bit of an age gap there, so that, it stimulated the gossip, all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tabloids and all of that. And he's he's always very nearly naked because he's a diver. So, gets a lot of attention for that as well. Um,
Yes.
but again, particularly the knitting, it's like you feel like he's got a personality, and he's. I nearly bumped into him, by which I mean I nearly pushed him over. It was in, it was in COVID, and everyone was kind of masked up and not really looking where they were going. And I turned a corner and whoop, I was like, oh, I was like, oh, okay, I'm daily, fair enough.
Come back,
Um,
Tom.
well, I wouldn't have been allowed because it was COVID, so I had to keep our distance. So it would have been
Yes,
like,
yes.
keep your distance, Tom. Um, or knit me a face mask. But yeah, so very famous because he's been on our screens a lot.
Yeah,
It's difficult to judge. Again, it's kind of if you're not into, how can I put this? Certain communities will have more interest in him than others. But he's got a score of 75, which yeah, I mean he's a very, very well-known person, Tom Daly.
yeah, yeah. It does fitness videos on YouTube, which I
Yeah.
may or may not have watched purely for fitness reasons.
Fitness,
Uh,
and as soon as you're an Olympian, then that takes you to a certain level of fame, and he's a
yeah,
multi-time Olympian medal
yeah,
winner.
yeah. Super successful. I also think I I would say I like Tom Daly. Like I don't feel that strongly about him. I think he may be also a bit Marmite. I think
Mm.
some people find him
Yeah.
maybe a bit annoying, or just for maybe not very good reasons. He sort of uh, appears in a lot of places. I'm sure he is worth millions, but
Mm.
sort of appears in adverts for gas companies and things.
Yeah.
Um, so he's around a lot. It's hard to avoid Tom Daly. So I think that maybe irritates some people, and maybe they shouldn't be irritated. But hey, so we'll see. Kind of was what one of the early names I was hearing as a name, a cast member for the show. We have reached the end of our list. I have a theory. Well, do you have any overall thoughts before we kind of wrap up, Matthew? Anything that we forgot to mention?
No, just that you will have gathered that from the way we're talking about these people, a lot of them are extremely famous. Nearly all of them are well known to some degree. And a lot of them have a kind of on-screen persona, whether it is just the professional kind of, the way they approach things, like a Kate Garraway or a Claire Balding, the kind of presenter side of things, serious, professional, warm, but serious. Whereas actually we don't really feel we necessarily know them that well, certainly not Claire Balding. Um, and then some of them are actors, which again, there's this whole idea of the characters they're playing. But then these kind of characters, Jonathan Ross on screen, he's a character. He is. He's this kind of cheeky, naughty guy. I would say Stephen Fry to a certain extent often leads into a certain persona. Alan Carr for sure. And then Joe Wilkinson, Joe Marler, Nick Mohammed. Like these are people who are used to like playing themselves, but a certain version of themselves. So it is so hard to know how that's going to go. How much of that is going to get stripped away, and how much of it are we just going to see these kind of characters playing? Because the one thing I really liked about the UK version, the normal civilian version, is that I don't think most of the time people are playing characters. That of course it's an on-screen version of themselves, but what is great is to see pretty normal people playing the game.
Yeah. A couple of final things I would say are, first of all, we referenced this a little bit. I guess one of the drawbacks or the negatives of this season might be because of the nature of the game and just how it works in the format, we have to be ready for some of our favorites leaving in like episode one or two. It's like, I'll be gutted if Alan Carr goes at like episode one, so it's a shame that there's all these big exciting names and funny people, and we might not get to see that many of some of them because they get murdered or banished really early on. Selfishly, I would hope that maybe some of the ones who go early are some of the names we don't care that much about, but you don't know how the game's going to play. Anything could happen. My second thing is a prediction. We talked a bit about some of the names we heard were going to be on the cast, and then the cast list came out. Oh, where's that person? Where's this person? I mentioned Jennifer Saunders. She was heavily rumored. She's not. She doesn't seem to be on it. Another one was, oh my goodness, what's his name?
Bob
I
Mortimer.
Thank you. I saw him in the train station at Charing Cross a few weeks ago. Bob Mortimer was heavily rumored. Apparently, he's not on it. I make a prediction now. Some of these people actually are going to appear in it
Yeah.
in some way. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Uh, I just wonder if there are going to be a few more surprises that they haven't officially revealed to us.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yes. Well, if you think about it, there was clearly like this kind of scramble of the agents to try and get their client booked on this show because it's clearly going to be one of the biggest shows of the year. And they just want to do it. Stephen Fry's doing it. He doesn't need to do it. He doesn't need the publicity. He just wants to play the game because he thinks it will be
Yeah.
fun. Um, and so if you have a list, like a bulging list of people who really famous people who want to be on it, and maybe some of them can't commit to the whole filming time, what do? You have them pop up for one day. You say, oh, well, could they come
Yeah.
and just do a day, or could they come halfway through, or this or that. And um, so I think that's very likely. Um, and I just, yes, there must be some kind of embargo on this. And this is like, I can't say this is a spoiler because it literally was in one of the official articles, but someone, it might have been the Radio Times or one of these ones, said something like, here are the 18 players that have been announced so far, or something like, here are the initial list of players that are playing the game, all
Mm.
19 of them. And it was worded in a way that was absolutely obvious that there were going to be more players. So I'm like, okay, you haven't done a
Yeah.
good job of embargoing that, but okay.
Yeah. So, and we've seen in the US traitors stars sort of doing a little cameo, coming in
Mhm.
for a task, a
Yeah,
mission for an episode, and then off they pop. So I wonder if that's going to happen. Maybe people just do an appearance for a funny challenge one episode.
yeah.
Uh, so that's our list. I feel like I'm like I want to watch episode one right now. I'm desperate to see it. Before I explain how we're going to be covering the season, Matthew, how can we find you on social media?
I am everywhere online, MaJiKer, MaJIKER, and on Instagram, you just put a little underscore after that, and that's me. Yeah.
As for the podcast, if for some mad reason you're not already following us on social media, you can find updates on the pod, on the shows, or on any other show outside of the Traitors we may end up covering on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That's at the Trade Art Podcast. You can please comment, send me a DM, comment, interact with other people, especially on YouTube. There's always lots of chat going on there on the videos. You can also send me an email if you've got a longer thought that you want to have a chat about. So people sometimes do that, and we get into conversations. You can send messages to the Tradar podcast at gmail.com. And wherever you are listening or watching, please subscribe, follow. It really helps the podcast, helps other people find it. And if you have been listening along and enjoying it and you want the podcast to keep going, it can help too if you're able, put in a little donation at the coffee page for the podcast. That's ko-fi.com/Matthew Keeley. All of those links are in the episode description. So we're going to be back very soon to cover every episode of Celebrity UK Traitors. There will be 9 episodes of the show for this season, not 12, which I guess matches yeah, there are 19 people on this list that we just talked about. Usually there's like 22, 23 people. I guess that works out. Maybe we'll have double eliminations, double murder, something like that. I don't know. But 9 episodes, 3 a week. I'm guessing it's going to follow the. What is it normally? Is it? I can't even remember. Is it normally Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
I think so.
Yes. So I guess that's what it is going to be. Probably by the time you are hearing this podcast or watching it, all of this will have been revealed. We're recording this a little bit earlier when we're not quite sure. But very excited to be covering it. And MaJiKer, I am asking you on a hot mic, will you come back and co-host with me to cover some episodes of this season?
I would. The problem is, I'm not sure I'm going to watch it. Um, I'm not. I'm not that.
Now,
It's a bit of a disappointing lineup, Matthew. It's like, couldn't they have just booked someone like at least slightly famous? I mean, Stephen Fr who? Who?
Stephen
Who?
Free, Stephen Free,
Stephen, apparently, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So I, if I end up watching it, I'd love to come and talk about it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I
okay.
don't tend to watch this show, The Traitors, very much. I'm not. I haven't watched like, 32 seasons of it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Elaine
thanks,
Carr. Who is she?
Elaine Carr. Thanks for the invitation, and I think it's pretty likely you will have to like block me on Zoom from showing up because I am so excited. But I mean, genuinely, this is affecting my quality of life in a positive way. It is giving me something extremely exciting to look forward to.
Yeah, very, very excited. Everyone I know who watches the program is excited. People in the TV industry are excited to see it. I can't wait to talk about it on the podcast. Now I can say with MaJiKer and various other guest co-hosts are going to come and join me. Until then, until this coverage of Celebrity Traitors UK Series 1, please keep us on your radar.